this session, we've got an hour. So what we want to do during this hour is give you, in the first, I'd say about the first 10 minutes, a quick overview, first a brief introduction to INSEAD for those of you who aren't familiar with INSEAD and what we do there. And then a quick overview of the theory and the methodology that Manfred Ketz de Vries has developed that is sort of the foundation of this leadership group coaching approach. So we'll go fairly quickly through the background details, if you want to call it that, because what we will then do is we have a short video, about 20 minutes, of Manfred Ketz de Vries in a group coaching session. So it's a kind of like a summary. Normally it lasts all day, but what we've done is filmed a very short summary to give you just an idea of how Manfred runs a group coaching session. That's about 20 minutes. And then we have Andreas, second. But then we have the next, after we do that, we'll have a short presentation from someone who uses the group coaching session outside of INSEAD. It's completely external. So their point of view of how the session works away from Manfred Ketz de Vries and the IGLC group. So give you a kind of an outside perspective. And then the rest of the time, we'll leave it open to discussion. So that's what I'm saying. We'll try to go fairly quickly through all the introductory stuff. So we have some time at the end for questions and answers and so on. So let me step back a bit and introduce us. But first of all, so this is Agatha Haltevska-Piguet, who's the executive director of the INSEAD Global Leadership Center. And I'm Elizabeth Tracy, and I'm the head of research at the INSEAD Global Leadership Center. And Andreas Bernhardt is a close colleague of ours, but he's not in INSEAD. He's at ESMT in Berlin.
Yes, and just a short word about INSEAD for those many people who are familiar, and we had a small talk about INSEAD, but for those who are not familiar, INSEAD is a global business school located in Europe, in Paris, on the outskirts of Paris. And INSEAD is mainly involved in a big MBA program, but also in executive MBA and executive practitioner. So there's a big effort at INSEAD in training more. So we attract people really from all over the world and design leadership development programs for them globally at the highest level. So this specific presentation today is about one methodology that we use not in MBA, but we use it in executive MBA and in our top leadership programs to really push people to want further develop their leadership. So we are going to zoom one of the methodologies.
Does everyone have a handout? There's more. So now that we've introduced INSEAD, just a quick overview of the INSEAD Global Leadership Center, which was started by Manfred Ketz de Vries 5 years ago. Manfred's been at INSEAD for a long time, but the center was actually formed 5 years ago. And Manfred, last year, he was the winner of a Lifetime Achievement Award given by the International Wellness Group. Within IGLC, we do a little of everything. We do a lot of research on leadership development using a psychodynamic approach and framework. We design and psychometrically test our own leadership development 360 survey instruments, which some of you are familiar with. We do a lot of internal and external executive programs. And what some people don't realize is we're actually about the second largest center for group coaching, I think, in the world. For example, we had about well over 2,000 executives who were in this group coaching experience in 2008. Not to mention 10,000 or so observers who also completed their 360. So we see a lot of people. We also, another thing that's interesting about IGLC is that it's very diverse. It's really a global experience. We don't have any national cultural identity. So all of our instruments and methods and techniques are designed for people who are not necessarily native English speakers, who are not necessarily from a particular culture. So that's a quick overview of IGLC. What do we know about leadership development, and what are we working from? I think what the three most fairly important themes for us is that leadership development is very much related to personal growth, that the one can't really happen without the other. We've also done Andreas's colleague has also done some research with Manfred, where they found that executives will say they're coming to these executive programs, including finance and strategy and all the rest, to take time out from the busy world and to be able to reflect a little bit on many things. So it's not just that they want to learn new functional technical skills. They really do want to have this way. And finally, I think one of our most important messages is something this morning as well, is that authentic leadership that requires an alignment between personal leadership styles and preferences and organizational roles. And until you're familiar with both, then it's very difficult to attain authentic leadership. So those are kind of the key themes. Our pedagogical framework is very much the clinical paradigm, applying the clinical paradigm to organizations, which Manfred Ketsterby is well known for and has written lots of. Also, a systemic and holistic approach. So we're not micro, we're not macro. We're very interested in the whole organization, individual in the organization. And kind of our motto or our vision is that what we want to do is create reflective leaders who are also effective. So that's a quick overview of our vision. How do we explain this to participants who come to see us? Manfred often uses this image of the leadership onion. So we say that basically what people come to these programs for is to think about actions and preferred leadership styles and behaviors. But everybody is a bit like an onion, and you can't really have any effect on the outer layers until you have an idea of what's going on in the inner theater, past experiences. So again, it's this idea that know thyself, reflective leadership, all comes from. When do we feel that this is particularly effective is psychodynamically oriented coaching? Career progression, when people need to have a better idea of what their strengths are, their weaknesses are, so they can again find a better alignment with their organizational roles. Career stagnation, sometimes you have people who seem very high performing, and it's not clear to anybody why it is that they can't seem to get any farther. Of course, career derailment, we sometimes see that in founding entrepreneurs, for example, or top-level executives who actually do things that seem very irrational and very destructive. And how do you help those kinds of people? And finally, obviously, career transition. People are so why did Manfred pioneer this whole group coaching? I mean, one-to-one coaching is well known. Why bring a group of 5 or 6 powerful people into the same room and expect something to happen? I think it's basically because we know everybody that we see, they're top people, they're intelligent, and they know what it is. Very often know what they need to do, but they just can't do it. So knowing and acting is different. It's also the idea that we all have blind spots, so the 360 feedback, particularly when the people are in the room with you, is very effective. And then this idea of network contagion and group polarization. If you have people who are working together, they tend to pull each other along towards the goal that they've expressed they want to get to. We also, to say it kind of more of a metaphor, something a little bit simpler, is the idea of shame, guilt, and hope are the ideas, the keys to helping people change their behavior. The idea is that I know that I should change myself. I know I should do something different. I'm a little bit ashamed that I haven't done anything about it. A perfect example is Agatha has got me to go to the gym. So I know I stopped going to the gym. I know I need to go to the gym more often. I promised Agatha that I will go. If I don't go, I feel guilty. So already we have a peer support that's coming in. And finally, I feel that with the support of my peers, there is hope, and I will actually keep going to the gym. So that's the idea of it. Yes.
But when you think about open enrollment programs, for a long problem. But let's take the past the very day, first day at that's when it happened. They are a bit close. There's one thing that maybe I should add as a practitioner. I run many on the basis, and I think way go over the group get higher so what you do in your individual coaching sometimes you must have the aha moment. The group doesn't like that.
And how do we do it? Basically, it's the 360s that we developed in the group coaching, we consider to be just the beginning of a courageous conversation. So it's getting people away from the busy world into a room where they can have some serious discussions with peers. And there's lots written about our instruments, so I'll just give you a quick glimpse of a moment. The first one that we developed was the Global Executive Leadership Inventory about 8 years ago. And that was designed to measure leadership behaviors. But it also the reason why Manfred wanted to design this one in particular is because it also brings together leadership behaviors, emotional intelligence, and life balance in the same instrument. So you can actually start to see some very interesting correlations between emotional intelligence levels, visioning, for example, or resilience to stress. And they're among the 12 dimensions. You can start to find explanations for why people are maybe scoring higher or lower specific areas. And the other two that we use a lot are the personality audit, which looks more at behavioral traits, character traits, and the leadership archetype questionnaire is more designed for executive role constellations to see if you have within an existing team, a board, or whatever executive team it might be, if you have the skills and the capabilities that are required for a specific situation, if it's mergers or if it's whatever it might be. And what they have in common basically is they're all web-based, of course. They're all psychometrically tested and published in the National Journal of Human Resource Management. And they're tested on normal performing executives. They can also globally benchmark.
Yeah, and also my approach does work. Know that I rejected and then had anyone from countries that you know I mentioned like this I mentioned not work so the box of 7.
Right, so that was a super quick overview. Now we kind of get into the heart of the topic today. So what are we trying to do? What do we want to keep in mind when we have a group session? First and foremost, obviously, it has to be a safe transitional space where people can come in and they feel that they can experiment with behaviors, with ideas, with all kinds of things. And of course, no one is obliged to stay in the room. No one's obliged to and the whole thing won't work if you can't establish that kind of it's also, keys are to not only give a cognitive impact, but an also emotional, cognitive input, but also emotional impact, so that people really feel that sense of, ooh, aha, or, a bit uncomfortable. That's actually something that helps. It's not pleasant. If people wish to talk about past experiences, their national culture and things like that, they can bring that into the discussion. Again, we very specifically discussed the alignment between personal style and organizational roles. And then they don't leave the room without identifying just 2 or 3. So it's not the idea that you come in and change your life. It's 2 with the group, they work with a learning partner to identify just a couple of things that they really feel that they can work on in the next period. And finally, one of the objectives is that everyone hones their coaching skills. So ideally, they go back into the organization.
Well, in general, it depends on the program. But in a standard program, you can get it short. Sometimes you have so one of the group coaching, and then we design a program. So it's not practical. So we have group goals. In some other programs, and then when you have modules, try always to have some follow-up, but no follow-up. No? Yeah. So open. You'll see this. This is why because it's better. It's better to show than to tell. So we'll show you this little video, and then all of these details that you haven't seen the answer in the video, then certainly come back to any questions. But you had one mention. I wondered if you'll see something in the video, and we can definitely also come back to that if you don't start to get an idea of how that works. So keep in mind as you watch the video, this is a 20-minute synopsis of something that usually takes 2 hours per participant. So we very, very much, give them there. So it's generally 5 group, 1 coach, and 1 day. Yeah, full day. Also, we can use other people, other instruments, and so it doesn't depend. We don't have to have the ideas. And also, cultural differences and personality traits. Everybody coaches differently. The 3 of us coach. We all have different styles. But we wanted to show you Manfred because he's the one who invented it, the one who developed it. But we also have questions. People saying, that looks a bit iffy. How do you handle this? All of the IGLC coaches either have clinical training as psychologists or some other clinical diploma, or they've gone through the IGLC INSTAD Consulting and Coaching for Change, which is a 15-16 program, multi-module program. So that's part of it, to be able to deal with it. So the background for this video is that this is the North Atlantic Energy Resources Company. They're an old petroleum industry that's old stuff, and they need to move into green energy. So they've just hired a new chief technology officer who's a former entrepreneur, but he's certainly a different guy than the rest of the people on the team. So this is what you're going to see is Manfred going through a day of coaching with the chief executive officer, the chief financial officer, the chief operating officer, and the chief technology. So it's actually natural team. It's not a role. Actually, well, it is the situation of the company. It's a composite of a situation of a real company. So it is a role. For ethical reasons, they're actors. But we try to avoid that question before we watch the video. But that's fair enough because for ethical reasons, no, you can't just put a camera and film people. They're actors, but it was very, very carefully based on reality. So every incident you see is really different. Are you acting something that has taken place just or are you asking both? Because it was improv. Yeah. We said, here's the situation. That's about what they got. Here's the company, here's the situation. Manfred didn't know what they were going to say. They didn't know what Manfred said. So it's a bit of a improv. Complicated. Do we want to turn off the lights, or is it going to be or dim? We might do that.
my expectation would be that at the end, we're really working as a team, as a global team, which understands everything that's going on and is fully committed to sharing that responsibility for other people in the company. And and if they take that on board, then I think that would be a huge step forward for this company. But people have got too many personal agendas, they're driving their own careers, perhaps rather more looking at the bigger picture and understanding that. So commitment, accountability for your actions, I think working in a more boundaryless environment where everybody's singing from the same hymn.
I feel trapped. I feel like an animal in a cage. I feel someone's got me here to tell me something that they could have easily told me down in the office back in the office. I got the report. I feel apprehensive.
I feel quite positive about it. I think it's high time that this company, if we are going to move into the future, we take on basically the human element. And I think it's high time that certainly these people talk to one.
I don't really think that I am like I was portrayed by other people. I don't think they really appreciate how much work I put in. They see it as interfering. It was a bit of a surprise to me. So, I'm not looking forward to it.
So how do you all feel being here? A little bit confused? And you know why we're here. Every team, even this great functioning team, might sometimes have some undiscussable, some snakes under the carpet. So maybe when we go through this process, eventually it is more easier for all of you to have what I sometimes call courageous conversation. One of my challenges is going to make here a rather playful place, transitional space, building trust. Now to get you a little bit into the playful mood, into this transitional space, and don't look so gloomy about it, I found a very useful tool is to do yourself work. I want you to draw, be artistic, and associate when you draw to a few things, like your head, your heart, your stomach, yes, stomach too, leisure, work, the future, and the past. No words, just free association. So don't sit there in a catatonic state, get up and start drawing.
I do hope that I can put forward a point of view that people might understand. I think they've got me wrong. They don't think I'm the policeman. I'm telling them what to do. I'm just trying to keep them in line. We're trying to keep afloat. And maybe they'll understand.
Well, my expectations for this session are relatively low because I don't think I've been an enthusiastic participant in this whole process. I'm here under orders. I'm extremely busy, and I think I could be better occupied back in my office.
I'm one of two twins. It started out actually with me and my brother, and then I realised that somewhere along the line I've left my brother behind, and my partner, my wife, has replaced him in my affection. So this is the past, and so I left one of us behind, and so she's the future. It's really corny. This is the way I feel about her and my family. This, surprisingly enough, is my work, because it's based in her stomach, so it's a baby. And as UNESCO would say, woman is the future of mankind. And I see what we're doing actually here and now, and will be doing in the future. The green energy will save the planet. So this is our future. And I feel as protective about this as I would of a baby in her womb. Now is the ideal time for us to move forward, especially as the new focus is going to be on innovation and green energy. I think it's very important we take the time out from business, share a vision, and then move forward.
I first want to share some of the data of the jelly. There's quite a discrepancy between the way you see yourself and others see yourself. What stuck out for me was the incredible high scores you get in vision, which is, I think, extremely rarely seen. That you really have really a very good perspective on future developments and things like that. Exactly, this is as high as it comes. What also strikes me to a very high stress, which is another portion, which I think is related to some of the also health concerns you have. Of course, you got also the personal feedback comments from friends and family members. He's the most creative person I've ever known. Nice. Other person showing enthusiasm, creating a sense of the bigger picture, being friendly, approachable, great use of humor. Other person smart, gets to the essence of an issue. Other person is the most stimulating boss I've ever worked for. Those are nice comments. Develop, some people shove it into develop. He needs to be better organized and more attentive to the needs of his direct reports and the broader S&M team. He invests way too little time. When he's focused on the people issue, he's fine, but he's too rarely focused. Is that you? Anyhow, that being said, can you say a few things about yourself? To get the full person, we discovered it's much more useful when you get a little bit of a picture of who you are.
Yes.
What were your parents like? What did your mother like? Your father like? What were you like as a little boy?
I'm one of two twins. When we were born, I think it gave us a bit of a shock. My parents had a very active social life.
All the comments made, you seem to be extremely creative. Did they just erupt out of nowhere, or there's a history behind that?
My grandfather invented vacuum, and the process basically has been embraced by everyone.
When you look at your experience in organizational life, do you have any comments about that?
Yeah, I'm continually frustrated by people trying to pen me in.
If you look in a crystal ball, 3 years forward,
I would like to have realized certain goals.
you're still in the organization.
And that depends whether or not I get to realize those goals. If understanding happens, and if these goals are realizable, then yes, I can still see myself here. Otherwise, I can see myself in the Pacific coast of Mexico. It freaks me out that people try and pen me in, and then I won't be able to be as creative as my job actually deserves. And that I'm going to have to defend my own territory, but at the same time, I have to understand their point of view, but they have to understand mine too. So there's going to be a lot of pushing and pulling in this, and I'm apprehensive about that. They might get there.
I'm going to ask you something which might be difficult for you, which is to, as you know in the previous sessions, to be silent and just listen very carefully what other people have to say. What animal comes to your mind when you think of Joe?
Well, him.
Yeah.
But I went home early the other night, but my son was watching a film called Ice Age, which is a cartoon film. And it's set in the Ice Age. And at the beginning it has a crazy squirrel, a frantic squirrel, that dashes around chasing an acorn. And it sometimes gets the acorn always escapes. And it seems to me that this is the situation he's in.
You're not that focused enough.
Exactly. You have to get your eye on the ball. That's what I would say. Take that squirrel, boy.
Tanya, if you worked for Joe, what would it be like?
I wouldn't like it. I would feel very frustrated.
Why this nice person you would not like to work for him?
He never answers your phone.
I mean, this is the most creative person I've seen in a long time, according to the ratings. What does he do that he frustrates you?
Well, he's never that.
Yeah, but
He's
maybe-
always late for everything. Not
But it's important.
everybody's important.
And he's more important because he's the visionary part.
Then you're right, yes, the creativity. Maybe yes. Maybe yes. I would enjoy to have someone in my team like with his.
Let me go to Bruce as a friend.
I think as a friend, Joe, I would say that, I can't overemphasize just how valuable your creative contribution is to this company. That's why I brought you in and why you're here. But to leverage that to its greatest capacity, you need to have other people working with you. And that's to do with respect. And I know it's not what you intend, but the way people receive your being late for meetings, sometimes not even coming to the meetings at all, not answering emails, not answering phone calls, people perceive that as a lack of respect. And as a result of that, we can't take advantage of your wonderful ideas and creativity.
All right. After having been compared to different animals, other comments being, how do you feel?
Well, it's strange because you're actually, you hold up a mirror and you see different versions of yourself. I suddenly understand people's frustrations, and I suddenly understand that, yeah, it is something that I have to take on board.
What are the two things you work?
Making it more transparent that I do respect people. And I realize that I'm only part of an organization. I realize.
How would you do that?
Probably by simplifying the way that I communicate, because I know that I can go off on tangents.
Do you expect from the people here, for example, when you go off on a tangent, that you can say, Joe, enough, there you go again, or is that you want that from them?
I officially give you all license to just say, stop, Joe.
You've said that Tanya was very ambivalent about working for you.
No, because at the same time, we can't change like that.
Oh, come on, Joe. You wouldn't work with me either.
That question has not been asked by that. We've at least got to the point now where we recognise the difficulties that we have with one another, and we are in the process of perhaps making fault into a.
Thank you for your openness, your frankness, and telling all those things nobody probably has ever heard about you. Thanks a lot. Bruce, you know the routine now. You the last one, and the liberty left you for last. Could you start with your self-portrait?
Sure. So, I tried to organise this quite well. I'll start with the past. Gradually, the road twists and turns through life and becomes slightly narrower as you go trotting along in this big car, as you become more successful with dreams of more money and organising and running a big company, above all being the best.
From the past, you have this fallen girl. What does it stand for?
It's actually my daughter Jessica, who died in a car accident when she was 4. It's okay. You can wallow in that sadness, and that can really destroy an entire family. So it's best perhaps just to protect yourself against that and mourn for your child, and that's good and well, and then leave that part to the side and move on down the road back. My doubts have got to be, as I was saying before, the methodology. It's not an exact science. I understand that psychology, and there's room for error, maneuver, and interpretation. And I was looking at the results last night, from the feedback forms, and I didn't recognise myself in that at all.
People wrote a lot. They did a lot of writing. They made the effort to write a lot of comments, and they talk about, that you really come across as a very charismatic leader. When you talk, people listen. And you can also be very charming. You inspire people. I think are very nice comments. What you should develop is a mix around, show yourself more. Very often the CEOs become like the invisible man. What really comes also through is an element of that you could empower people more, that you could delegate a little bit more. There's an element of micromanagement. Comments are being made here, which is a habit of this modern age of multitasking. That you talk to people, you look at the BlackBerry, you look at the computer screen, and those kind of things, and that people feel that they are really not taken into consideration. And actually, it's like a fair person case, that actually a person in business care. I think that's something anybody can develop. Those things are important. And with that being said, maybe you can say something about yourself.
Say something about myself. Well,
what kind of regrets would you have?
think I never got to know my father.
Consider one quality of character you have and you can do without. What would that be? Who spent a day with a person dead or alive? Who would you pick?
Am I allowed to say my father again?
If you look at your life, what do you see as the dumbest thing you've ever done?
Dumbest thing I've ever done.
What gets you angry?
People not doing what they said they would do.
Last question, the crystal ball question. And you look 3 years hence. What do you see?
Maybe it's then time to start giving something back to the community. Through my daughter Jessica, I'm very involved in looking at bereaved families, and there's a lot of charity work I could develop more there.
You don't want to be the richest person in the graveyard.
No, I don't think that's my ambition.
All right. You want to start with the animal farm?
Yeah. I see Bruce as a beaver.
A beaver. Why?
He's very ostentatiously busy, very industrious. He builds down. It's all offered. But the river still flows through it. It's somewhat pointless. And when you, well, no, not pointless, but when you actually remind them of what's happening.
He's all over the place.
Yeah, it's all over the place. And he, makes an enormous amount of noise and then never forgets.
Tanya, what animal did you pick for a wolf?
Well, I thought of Bruce as a giraffe. Physically, he's tall. He's quite aloof. I think a lot of people in the office would like to see him more around. And his head always up in the trees. But very stately, elegant. I think a giraffe suits you.
As a friend, what advice would you give him?
Blackberry off from time to time. When people talk, people say he's always on the phone, he's not got time, he won't come and see us. I think that is important. When we have a problem, we can come to you. It's your accessibility. And don't micromanage.
What about you?
Well, I see Bruce as one of these big jellyfish.
Box jellyfish?
Deadly. They have those big trailing tentacles. He's drifting, and he goes with the tide, and he has these long tentacles that can damage you if you get too close. I guess the other reason for that is that you're always wondering where he is. Every time you go in the water, you're thinking, are there any jellyfish? And once you see, and the CEOs always are a bit like that. When am I going to bump into him? Or how can I avoid it?
Thank you. All of you. I think that's the first time we've had a conversation at this kind of level, and I think it's probably a good thing. I think it's a very good thing.
Remember again, shame, guilt, and hope. What do you feel you should really focus on?
I can quite see how empowering people to not micromanage them and have more authority to make your own decisions would certainly reduce my stress. So that would be two birds with one stone. And
So what would you ask them to do? To push you back and you go on automatic pilot?
just tell me, like you have now. I wish in some ways you'd done this over the last 5 years.
We all give everybody already an applause. We should also give an applause to the Remember at the beginning of the day I asked you how well you felt you functioned as a team. But during discussion, mega issues came up, general issues, which is not just only for you, but for the whole team as such. And I wonder if something came to your mind.
We need to graft some kind of metric to look at how we are developing our leadership skills in terms of how we're perceived and what we're doing. I think as well, we're not going to change this culture in the company with just the four of us around this table. I think it's going to be tremendously important to cascade this down. So, we'll each take 6 people to report on our direct reports, and they'll take 6 people each, and cascade this down to perhaps the top 150 people.
The first meeting we should have is go back and deal with the people who wrote those things about me.
Also, as you know, I'm like a bad penny, and I promise to come back in 3 months and ask all of you, what have you done? What have you done?
It's been a difficult, challenging, and emotionally tiring journey that we've been through with you this week, but we're very much determined, I think all of us, to change and start afresh, and thank you for taking us on this journey. Hopefully we'll continue that good work, so we look forward very much to seeing you in the next 3 months.
Thank you.
Thank you. And back to the office and back to normal on Monday.
I hope not.
How did it go? How do you feel?
I feel somewhat skeptical, I think. I think it was good, but I'm not sure. We'll see.
Jeff?
Yeah.
How did it go? How do you feel?
Well, relieved, big relief, and surprisingly positive. I think you remember at the beginning I was very negative, and the whole process was quite good for me.
Joe, how did it go? How do you feel?
I feel pretty good actually. Hope things will turn on, but we'll see. But there's definitely food for thought. Yeah, I feel a lot better now than I did when I came in.
Bruce, how did it go?
Well, it was very powerful, very different from what we were expecting, I think, and draining, tiring, and I really think that we've changed the way that we're going to work together. Very powerful experience. I didn't know an awful lot of those things about my fellow workers, and I don't think they knew that much about me. And what we shared through these last few days, I think it's really going to change if we work together for the future. Thank you for that.
So I think just to carry on and give you the full picture, we're just going to take a couple more minutes to let Andreas tell us how they fit group coaching into another school and another type of context. And then we'll take all the questions and discussions at the end. And we can also, anyone who needs to leave at 6, please feel free to do so, and we can also stand.
Yeah, so I'm a founding member of the Leadership Development Research Center at ESMT, which is a new founded school in Berlin in the center of Europe. By the way, it's a school of the CEOs, so CEOs founded the school. What are we doing there? We are using, of course, also the INSEAD group leadership approach because it's a great approach. We are very successful with using it in different kind of programs, in open enrollment programs. For example, Leading People in Teams is a specialized program for leadership, for mid-level managers making headway in this area. Next week, Thursday, we are running a full day of group leadership coaching, and Agatha will be joining us to help us there. We have, for example, larger programs, 3 times 2 weeks, where the last 2 weeks we have a full day of group coaching. So where people already know each other quite well and can reflect also on their experiences with each other. In company-specific programs, for example, in a healthcare company with general managers, 1 level or 2 level below of the corporate board. So we have managing directors of countries or heads of global functions. And the feedback, what we get is they really come closer together through this process. In the consumer goods, that was McDonald's, for example, European organization of major global player, or in degree programs in the executive MBA. And I will talk a little bit more about this. Further increase the effectiveness of the approach of the group leadership coaching approach. We often combine it with different formats. So it's not rocket science, but it makes the combination, makes it more effective. That's our experience. For example, the second group coaching after 10 to 12 months. For example, in the executive MBA, we will have this Saturday, we'll have the second group coaching day, for example, for the current wave. We have one-on-one coaching in between or afterwards, outdoor team training and development on a regular basis. I'm taking managers out to the woods. 2 days ago, I was in the northern part of Germany. It was raining, it was really freezing cold, but people came closer together. When we then, after a month, next module, have the group coaching, that people can really reflect back to what they experienced, how they got closer to each other, and what kind of conflicts they had. And also, so you see here some sketches. And we use some management style and competency surveys, for example, for a larger consumer goods company. They made a management review. That was a headhunting company that did all these reviews, and we got the results up front, and we used it in the group coaching. One example, one quick story, how this can lead to a larger experience, to an even enhanced experience for participants. In the executive MBA, in the last round, we had a lady with really a strong leader, mid-level manager. She took over a larger sales organization, and she had to make a transition with her team. And she tried to get to know from her peers sitting in the room, how can I become more energizing? Energizing is one of the dimensions of the GELI. She said, I want your feedback. Give me some ideas. And she asked her colleagues, and they gave several comments, and it came close to the finish time of her session. Then one participant said, yeah, I think you should leverage this part. And then he went on, and she cut him short and said, oh, that's enough. I want to go further. And then she, yeah, but let me explain. I think it's important. She said, no, it's my time. I need to go on now. Next one. And what did the coach do? He said, stop for a second. Time out. You get 5 more minutes. Time out. Let's take helicopter view. Let's go back. Let's ask your peers, how energizing what you just saw. And then the guy who gave the feedback said, yeah, it was really frustrating now. I really wanted to tell you something very important. I wanted to tell you that when we were out in the woods and we had this bridge building exercise and the time was short, you suddenly took over and did everything, not involving anyone. And you know, I got to know you better and you are a great person and I like you so much. But in that moment, I hate it. Totally clever. Got into the reflecting mode. And all the others afterwards and contributed to getting her back on track. She immediately requested one-on-one coaching. And then we had a one-on-one coaching session directly afterwards, how she could make headway with the transitions in her team, but also with her personality, where she tended to overstretch her team, overstretch her team. This is just an example how we integrate the whole thing. So the different kind of styles, different kind of methods in the, we call it individual leadership development itinerary. So it's a whole phase over 22 months that accompanies modules. And these are just some sketches from how it looks like, how the different interventions appear. We have some sessions up front. We have, before that, we have the auto training. We have the first GELI. We have the coaching sessions, implementation plans, revision of implementation plans, and this is then the second phase. Talking about something like doing necessary evil, so how to bring across messages that are not nice, but that you have to bring across, like laying out people, how do you do this, right, in an ethical way. And this is I think, exactly the time where we want to start the discussion because we want to have a little bit of interaction with you. Therefore, I hand over now to Agatha. We agreed that we would hand.
Just so I understand the format, you would spend 2 hours basically talking. Yeah. For some people, when they do stuff, and yeah, talk, and then actually very kind work. But it's more to it. And run such that yeah.
Page 6 of your handout have a summary of what you saw in the film, so that's just a template of what you saw here.
It's almost 5. It's almost 4 minutes. Well, it's like different sections, huh? But it's very much different example. When it's over sector, it's so crowded that you can run out of time. You can't go because you don't have time. And you, of course, go for so good. Sometimes, we try to treat. Then a lot of time. But then you don't have time. Because when you discover participants, sometimes you can someone best. Then you left. So much. So in running that. Fine.
What can we do to team, the original team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Then we do that. 7 people, of course, in the natural team. Then we design some context around it. If it's natural team, some other exercises. Then to create some trust. Also for work.
Maybe I missed it. It seemed like, right?
I'd like to come closer, but the setup is
That's okay.
it's pretty frustrating.
The participants seem to feel generally positive about the experience itself, but what seemed to come across was they were skeptical about what difference it would actually make when they got back into work. I'm wondering what kind of follow-up or tools you take what you've done there and keep it going.
Yeah.
There's an example on page 9. Page 9.
Of an action plan. But it's actually a great question. What we see with this Tanya was many people were skeptical. This is how when they come to the business school, participants are not signing up for any personal coaching. They come for general management program, and the coaching is part of it. So many of them were there. So in the first round of relatively let's have it. The highest level of enthusiasm. Well, I'm open. It's another level of resistance. So at the end, some people are left with a lot of questions. What you ask is sometimes when that's so important to have some level of follow-up. Because also some thoughts, overnight, over dinner, get out together, have dinner, have some relaxed time, sleep over there, let the emotion sing, and then the next morning have individual to help them to find the action plan, and also check how far we went. Then we are surprised how many from original really and our experience is that at the end, those who have are our best. On the whole idea.
I just wonder also, people come out of it, get in that setting, you're there with those people for a long time, really open up, feel things that they never thought they would feel. You ever have kind of, a day or two later, kind of a reaction to that? People like, oh, I can't believe I did that. And then they're even more close.
Well, it's also our work that people don't. So, where you ask, because you don't want
Really within the business context, anything that seems to veer out of the business rules, coaching.
how we create some space. You asked the question about how we construct some space. That's exactly how we construct. We really spend some time making sure that we understand it's not a random tired question. And very fast environment. When same time go ask us. Now occasionally it happens to say after introduction, I'm not sure. And then my reaction. But before have a little bit of whether this would be your normal. There is uncertainty that you don't ask. It's there, manner. What is best to do is okay. The other side. But what stage back would be? Check. Not very people, but it depends what you call using process. I think that we can write quite a long paper. Some people are very engaged and still not in the process. And some of them you think that they are just sitting, observing and the whole time. And 12 months after, you receive the most.
We also tell people that individual changes, individual timelines. Some people went in the room, feeling transformed. Other people took 5 years. I think that should be
Yes.
But 4 years ago, today I remember very well some marks, some changes were so powerful. I'm more and more into group coaching because peer group expression so helpful.
No, I think that at the end what you do, not your question about the transition, there was a transition. The transition is because for the moment that be a human, so not necessarily. So they are authorized to give up and hand the role for a second. So it's such an idea. The higher you go, the more lonely.
And many really feel relieved to find out that others have similar dilemmas and also don't really cope with all the problems, and that they have effects in their private life, and that's not work-life balance, but work in life. And that this is really a major part. So many go out and say, "Whoa, I'm normal, right? I'm not a weird person."
And very often they don't much the process and say for everyone, but you're very relaxed and have no ambition. I have no ambition for what they discuss. And very often they end up and what got them here now is not very far enough, and everyone
Yeah, that here has experience coaching. We know the power. Sometimes culture. Either those all programs, sometimes you get excited.
I've never shown the video. The potential has.
And so my question is that goes along with design of program. Yeah. How do we sell that?
People have a big
Because the thing that you want to have a good impression the first time you experience coaching, otherwise very bad. So that's now. You recommend always turning to the question. First being group or having a one-on-one for that transition, people who are really reluctant going to the world of development.
just my I rather than just another site. They find
And if you want to sell it to real teams, to a company, so doing it with real teams, then it might make sense to have an opinion leader in a safe environment and an open enrollment program where he knows there are only people he will never see again, probably, if he doesn't want to. So he can experience the process, the methodology, and then can decide, do I want to do it with my real team? If they wonder, isn't it too risky? Because often people, isn't it too risky with my team, this process, and with others discussing the issue? So this, yeah.
Can I just say, if anyone needs to leave now, it's 5 past 6.
Yeah.
So we don't want to hold you, but if anyone, so please feel free to go. Anyone who'd like to stay longer.
So now it's even more informal, right? And even more intense.
Okay.
I had a question. Process that you have some for instance, therefore when the data and ask for the back to the animal, it's fine that there's enough information background. I would think that on for 2 days we don't have enough. I would say experience the person say, well, it's world, you know. I think it could be a little bit. So how do you address this?
Yeah, you're right. You know, I think you're absolutely right. Not enough substance. One substance. But I was not decided to do so for open enrollment, because it's actually are you with the why how much you don't know it. Separate through them. You know, when you have a day, to others, and just having your own professional and also the beginning of the program, that really opens minds and eyes for learning. Yeah? Because at the end, when you continue you'll be know those thousands exercises together to ramp you up to the coaching. Because you say, yeah, I have 6 weeks ago learn more about this.
I would say that I want to start how you impact others. I want at the end share them.
There's a question here.
You have probably a sharp left turn off of the question, starting off. Okay. I'm involved in helping start a brand new liberal arts university, and one of the things that we graduate education in general sense focus on leadership development and have a globally diverse undergraduate population. So I'm wondering on the one hand what the youngest population is you work with, and what you would do to adapt the model or the strategy you don't have. But you certainly have.
The model. On the other side, when start that, then last I wasn't when I was 30, when I was 25, that something. So I think so much business looking at that sounds like it's not fun. So one what are the elements after this lens
So we have to officially open the door, and then.
Well, we will be around, so
But just be. One more question. Yes.
I love model, really appreciate what with us. And I'm struggling with shame and guilt. Maybe that's my own personal paradigm. But I would like to know more about the night.
It's just a shorthand. I think it's kind of a metaphor. If if I'm the CEO of a company and I know that I've got my back all the time, and I know that that's what I should try to do, I feel at some level ashamed, not deeply ashamed. I mean, it's maybe just a cigar. I mean, you just take kind of at a surface level. I have a behavior that I know. And if I promise to a colleague that I'm going to really try to stop doing that, and then I keep taking my backfire out anyway, then I feel a little guilty because I've made a kind of a commitment to it here. And at the same time, if I sat in the group, which is what we saw here, and I said, no, this, I'm going to really try to stop doing this, and I feel like today we've talked about a little bit more why I do this, you understand, and I feel hopeful that with your support, I'm going to be able to just act on this, kind of switch my BlackBerry off. So it's not meant to be really anything more complicated than that. Yeah.
So the idea of challenge, support, sometimes challenge, not support, or only support, not challenge. So this is the more support.
Yeah, you can actually slot in whatever words work for you. It's the idea that you should change something. If you continue to do it, you feel it worse, but with the support of your peer group, hopefully.
I really like there's a certain flushing out habits. I thought, wow, that one area, two primary so I've been playing soft because they're often very good at softening, not actually softening. I wonder why we mollycoddle that area of. So I just, it's not really here, but my era that something good be as leaders of very large what would be my hometown, deal. It seems like it's silly that we don't really require that in our expectations. No, there's a biology in that
So we just
psychology,
we
business.
have it, you have it at your disposal. I never say it.
Well, with that,
That they would even conditioning is off.
I think with that we're required to stop. I'm sorry, but it's great. But let me just